Welcome to the Gunpla Space Factory. I am Factory Worker MS-1251A, and in the previous part of the series, I finished laying down the candy coats on the w-gundam. After letting the parts cure for about a day, I began piecing together the Wing Zero. And even though it still needed some details painted, I was so excited, I just wanted to see it all put together. Everything was going so well, and I wanted to get a good glimpse at what the results were gonna look like. This kit had come a long way. However, in retrospect, piecing it together without letting the parts cure for a couple more days would come back to haunt me. After playing around with the parts a bit, I moved on to the next step. One of the red fins that attaches to the side of the arm was missing. I made a replacement out of styrene. Next, I masked the parts to airbrush the sensors in a green metallic color and the accents in candy red. As before, I sprayed the parts with the chrome silver base. Well, I mostly sprayed my fingers, but I got some chrome base on the parts too. I know, I need to wear gloves. I then sprayed Tamiya X25 clear green on the sensors, or cameras if you want to get technical. After removing the masking tape, here's what the sensor/camera look like. I think they turned out pretty good. The eyes and cameras on the head were much too small for masking and airbrushing. I had to paint them by hand. But for some reason, I forgot to paint the camera above the fin. I did get it later on though. I then began work on removing the seam lines on the leg armor. I originally did not intend to glue the parts and remove the seam lines, as this kit was only supposed to be a test subject for the candy paint experiment. But a few of you requested I should at least remove the leg armor seam lines, as these were the biggest offenders. Gluing and scraping the seam lines was as much as I could do. I wanted to fill the gaps and nub blemishes, but the Tamiya putty I ordered was taking too long to arrive. Luckily, gluing the parts filled most of the gaps, though I had to scrape pretty deep to get the seam lines to disappear. There was a couple of gaps where there wasn't enough material for the glue to melt together, but these aren't too noticeable. After a few minutes of scraping and sanding, I masked the joints in preparation for another coat of primer. As usual, I decanted a small amount of Tamiya primer to load into my airbrush. I'm using a Patriot 105 set at 20 psi. After gluing, scraping, and another coat of primer, the seam lines are for the most part gone. Everything was turning out great, but then the consequences of me handling the candy coated parts before they fully cured became very apparent.
Oh no. Oh no. What happened here? Oh no, what happened there? Orange feel like crazy. Oh no. Rip. That's really bad.
After some thinking, I came to the conclusion that the orange peel wasn't orange peel, but actually fingerprints left on the clear coat when I was handling the feet.
These parts are okay though. Wonder what happened.
The blue parts had 40 hours to cure, but the red parts only had 24 hours of cure time before I manhandled them.
The blue parts are okay. I'm not sure what happened.
While I was pretty disappointed in myself for not being patient enough, I decided not to fix the paint and to leave the parts as is. This would serve me as a lesson. The importance of not rushing the process of painting Gunpla. Patience is key to a good result. I was pretty bummed out, but I had to remind myself that I was also experimenting using the industrial grade clear coat. I learned not to handle the parts for at least 48 hours after spraying them. I also felt it was important to not edit out this mistake and show it exactly how it was so that others may learn from my mistake. So with a bitter taste in my mouth, I moved forward with the assembly. For panel lining, I chose to apply the gray Tamiya panel accent color for a subtle effect. I love this process, it really makes the mobile suit come to life. And after panel lining the wings and reinstalling them,
it's here.
at last, it's finally finished, and while it's far from perfect, I feel I understand applying candy finishes a little bit better. This was the very first Gunpla kit I've ever painted, and even though I've built scale aircraft in the past, painting Gunpla is a completely new experience. Taking a good look at the completed Wing Zero, I can clearly see areas where I could improve. I now realize Gunpla kits require more finesse than the military models I've built in the past. As a new Gunpla space factory worker, I have much more to learn and improve upon. You know how the Proto Wing Zero speaks to the pilot? I believe this Zero spoke to me that night. It lit a fire inside me, a fire to reach my potential as a Gunpla builder. He showed me there is huge potential in each and every all of us. And even though we may be old, yellowed, dusty, and forgotten, with hard work and determination, we can all beautifully shine and reach our full potential. Painting this old high-grade kit was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I like it, even with its wrinkly, pruny feet. I can't wait to start the next project. And that concludes this series. I hope all of you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Please join me next time as I continue my journey as a newly employed Gunpla space factory worker bringing you build videos. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me, and I hope to see you here on the next video.